Once the initial chaos was sorted, everyone retreated to freshen up and change into more comfortable attire for the upcoming hike. Draco retreated to the dormitories, quickly showering and changing into more suitable clothing. His mind was still preoccupied with his earlier encounter, his thoughts a mix of embarrassment and worry that he had made a complete fool of himself. As Draco finished dressing, he gave himself one final look in the mirror. He ran a hand through his hair, hoping to compose himself and push the earlier incident to the back of his mind, at least temporarily. Then, feeling somewhat more presentable, he headed back downstairs, rejoined the group for the hike.
As Draco met up with Blaze and the others, his friend couldn't resist teasing him. "Took you long enough, Malfoy. What were you doing, fixing your hair for her?"
Draco rolled his eyes, attempting to feign nonchalance. "Shut it, Blaze. I had porridge all over me, remember? Had to clean up." As the group began to make their way towards the starting point of the hike, Draco's gaze swept the area, his eyes searching for you. He felt a pang of guilt and embarrassment over the earlier porridge incident, and he had a strong desire to apologize to you in person. His eyes scanned the crowd, his heart skipping a beat every time he thought he caught a glimpse of your form, only to realize it was someone else. "Damn it, where is she?" he muttered to himself. As Draco felt a touch on his shoulder, he assumed it was Crabbe being his usual clingy self. He let out a frustrated sigh and muttered irritably, "Crabbe, would you stop it? I already told you we packed enough snacks." He turned around expecting to see Crabbe standing there, but his breath hitched in his throat as his eyes fell upon you. His heart skipped a beat, his initial irritation replaced by a mix of surprise and embarrassment. He cleared his throat, his cheeks suddenly warmer than before. Hey," he managed to say, his voice slightly strained. Draco's gaze flickered towards you, his eyes studying your face intently. He could see a hint of nervousness in your expression, and it stirred something within him. He took a deep breath, trying to compose himself and gather his thoughts. "Listen," he began, his voice soft. "I wanted to apologize for the whole porridge mess earlier. I was careless, and I never meant to, well..." He trailed off, his cheeks flushing slightly. Draco felt a wave of relief wash over him as you responded, the sound of your laughter like a soothing balm to his guilty conscience. He fidgeted slightly, running a hand through his hair out of nervousness. "Are you sure?" he asked, his gaze searching your face for any signs of annoyance. "I feel like a right idiot for spilling it on you like that."
"All right, everyone, listen up!" he hollered, gesturing for attention. "We're ready to start the hike now. Stay close, keep an eye out for any interesting creatures, and for the love of Merlin, don't wander off on your own, you hear?" As Hagrid continued his instructions, he pointed a finger at Neville, his voice still booming. "We wouldn't want to repeat last year's incident, would we?"
Neville blushed deeply, looking rather sheepish as he rubbed the back of his neck by the reminder of whatever incident had occurred the prior year.
As the group divided up to begin the hike, Draco found himself standing next to you, his mind still consumed by the earlier porridge incident. He hesitated for a few moments, a million thoughts and questions flying through his head. But before he could say anything, Blaze and the others called out to him, breaking his train of thought.
"Come on, Malfoy," Blaze called impatiently, waving for Draco to join them.
With a small sigh, Draco cast one more glance towards you before reluctantly turning towards his friends. Yeah, I'm coming," he muttered, a pang of disappointment gnawing at him as he made his way over to the group. The The group of students began making their way through the forest, the trees providing a thick canopy overhead, filtering the sunlight into soft, dappled beams that danced across the path. Draco walked with his friends, his mind preoccupied with thoughts of the recent incident. His eyes would occasionally drift towards you, silently watching your every move, his expression unreadable.
As the group continued the hike, Hermione suddenly walked past them, pointing out a nearby plant and chattering away enthusiastically. "That one over there is a venomous tentacula," she exclaimed, her eyes wide with excitement. "It's really quite fascinating, actually. See how the leaves resemble a hand? It can actually grab onto unsuspecting prey and..."
Blaze groaned, rolling his eyes and muttering under his breath. Bloody hell. Can she ever shut up?
As the group continued to listen to Hermione's endless chatter, Draco's attention shifted towards Harry, his gaze falling on the signature messy hairstyle the boy was sporting. He couldn't help but let a sly remark slip out, his voice laced with sarcasm. "Did you comb your hair, or did the wind do it for you?"
Harry shot Draco a dirty look, clearly unamused by the comment. "Piss off, Malfoy," he retorted, his hands automatically reaching up to attempt to tame his unruly locks.
The other boys in the group snickered, clearly amused by Draco's sarcastic jab at Harry. Blaze and Theodore in particular found the whole exchange hilarious.
Harry, still attempting to tame his messy hair, let out a scoff and quickened his pace, the trio moving ahead to get away from them.
Blaze snickered, nudging Draco with his elbow. "Nice one, mate. You always know how to crack a joke at Potter's expense."
Lorenzo groaned, his body visibly drooping as he walked. "My legs are killing me. Why'd we have to go hiking, of all things?" he complained, rubbing his thighs as if trying to soothe the ache.
Blaze rolled his eyes, clearly unsympathetic to Lorenzo's plight. "Oh, stop whining. You act like we're walking a marathon. It's barely been 10 minutes.
Lorenzo's words prompted Draco to let out a small smirk, amused by his friend's comment. "And you don't even try to act like this is nothing. I see you struggling too."
Draco, trying to maintain a cool facade, casually strolled along, his hands shoved in his pockets. He glanced towards Neville, noting the boy's obvious struggle to keep up.
Blaze, who was walking alongside Draco, let out an exasperated sigh. Merlin's beard, long bottom, looks like he's about to collapse any second now.
As Neville panted, trying to catch his breath, Luna's calm voice cut through the chatter. "It's okay, Neville," she said softly, her kind gaze fixed on the struggling boy. "I'll stay with you while you rest."
Neville looked incredibly grateful at Luna's offer, a small smile of relief appearing on his sweaty face. "Thanks, Luna," he managed to gasp out between breaths, sinking down onto a nearby rock to sit.
As Neville and Luna took a break, it didn't take long for other students in the group to follow suit, the exertion of the hike catching up to many of them. Hagrid, noticing the weary expressions on the faces of the students, called out,
"Seems like a good time for a break. Take a few minutes to rest your legs and catch your breath, all right?"
The tired students nodded in agreement, and the group converged in a small clearing, grateful for the opportunity to take a short break from the strenuous hike. Draco, pretending to casually scan the clearing, found his gaze wandering in your direction, only to notice you stealing a quick glance at him as well. He felt a small jolt of surprise at being caught, but he quickly masked it with an aloof expression. He mentally cursed inwardly, wondering if you had caught on to his covert observation. He couldn't help himself, it seemed. His eyes seemed drawn to you like a magnet. As Draco watched you, lost in thought, he found himself murmuring under his breath, almost without realizing it. "Why haven't I noticed her before? She's so pretty."
Tom, who was walking close behind Draco, overheard the murmured words and couldn't resist teasing his friend. What do we have here? Malfoy has a crush, nudging Draco with his elbow.
Draco's cheeks flushed instantly, and he shot Tom a sharp glare. "Shut it, Tom," he muttered, shooting another furtive glance towards you.
Blaze, overhearing the exchange, couldn't help but join in on the teasing as well. "Ooh, look at that, Tom. You might be onto something there. Does our Draco have a little crush, perhaps?" he sneered, grinning widely.
Draco huffed irritably, his face growing even redder. "I swear if both of you don't shut up right now, I'll hex you both into oblivion," he threatened, not denying the accusations. As the banter between the boys continued, Hermione's excited voice suddenly cut through, diverting everyone's attention.
"Oh, look, there's some wild berries," she exclaimed, gesturing towards a small wild berry bush not too far away from the clearing.
The boys stopped their teasing momentarily, their attention shifting towards the berries that Hermione had spotted. Blaze whistled appreciatively, his interest piqued. "Those look juicy," he remarked.
All right, go ahead and pick some of those berries if you want, he called out, gesturing towards the wild berry bush. "Just stick close, don't wander too far."
Blaze, noticing the opportunity, seized the moment to tease Draco once more. With a smirk on his face, he nudged Draco towards you as you walked towards the berry bush. "Now's your chance, mate," he whispered, his voice filled with devilish delight. "Go talk to her."
Draco's eyes widened, a mixture of nervousness and excitement washing over him. He shot Blaze a fierce glare, but Blaze merely chuckled and nudged him again, silently urging him to take the plunge. Draco's feet felt like lead as he reluctantly moved towards you, his heart pounding in his chest. He mentally cursed Blaze for putting him in this situation, but he also knew that he couldn't chicken out now. He tried to compose himself, plastering a nonchalant expression on his face as he approached you. Hi, he said, his voice betraying a hint of nerves despite his attempt to sound casual. Draco's heart skipped a beat as you responded to his greeting, a small, nervous smile pulling at the corner of his mouth. He was surprised and secretly pleased that you didn't immediately brush him off. He took a deep breath, trying to come up with something to say. He mentally cursed himself for suddenly feeling so tongue-tied around you. So, nice weather, huh? He blurted out, mentally slapping himself for such a cliché remark. As Draco fumbled for words, noting the rosy tint creeping across your cheeks, his heart skipped another beat. He found himself momentarily distracted by the sight of you blushing, his own cheeks growing warm in response. He quickly shook his head, clearing his thoughts, before offering a small, nervous suggestion. Let's try those berries, he said, gesturing towards the wild berry bush. He hoped the casual tone of his voice didn't betray the pounding in his chest. Draco followed closely behind you, his eyes darting between you and the berry bush. He fought to keep his cool demeanor, but the sight of you walking ahead of him was making it increasingly difficult to focus. He forced his attention to the berries in front of them, watching as you started to pick them. He tried to think of something to say, something that wouldn't sound completely idiotic. Draco's thoughts were racing, desperate to find something, anything to keep the conversation going. Without even thinking, words slipped out of his mouth before he could stop them. I like your braids, he mumbled, the words coming out in a soft, almost embarrassed tone. His cheeks bloomed red instantly as he realized what he had just said. He cursed himself internally, silently hoping that you didn't notice his sudden blushing. Draco's heart skipped a beat as you paused, turning to look at him with a small smile on your face. His cheeks felt as if they were aflame, his heart pounding heavily inside his chest. He managed a small, awkward smile in response, the colour in his face only deepening. "You're welcome," he murmured, his voice sounding rather strangled. Inwardly, he silently cursed himself for sounding so damn flustered around you. Draco's breath hitched in his chest as you complimented his hair, a mix of surprise and something else swirling in his mind. He already knew, of course, that you liked his hair, having discovered this secret while casually flipping through your diary. He gave a small, almost shy smile in response. "You do?" he repeated, his tone betraying a hint of disbelief, even though he was fully aware of your secret admiration. Draco's heart fluttered at the sincerity in your voice, his own gaze softening as you looked away, busily sampling the berries. He couldn't help but find you somewhat endearing, the way you avoided meeting his gaze and focused on the berries instead. He tried to keep his expression neutral, but a small, fond smile escaped his lips. You continued to savor the berries. Draco's gaze lingered on your face. He noticed a small dot of berry juice on your nose, and his heart skipped a beat. Before he even realized it, he found himself stepping slightly closer, his hand moving up involuntarily to wipe away the sticky residue. You have berry juice on your nose," he murmured, his voice soft and gentle. His touch was feather-light as he gently wiped away the juice with his thumb, his eyes still locked on yours. As Draco gently wiped away the berry juice from your nose, his heart gave another small erratic thump inside his chest. Your flushed cheeks only made you look even more endearing to him, and he found it increasingly harder to keep his composure. His hand lingered by your face for a moment longer than necessary, the urge to touch you again almost overwhelming. He fought against the impulse, quickly moving his hand to his side and shoving it awkwardly inside his pocket. "You're welcome," Draco murmured in response, his heart still racing from the brief but intimate moment. He fidgeted awkwardly, his hand still shoved in his pocket, as he watched you wipe away the last remnants of berry juice on your nose. The sight of you just a few steps away from him and so undeniably cute was enough to drive him mad. He silently cursed internally, mentally scolding himself for his own smitten behavior. Draco's thoughts were still distracted by the recent proximity, but he managed to focus on your words as you mentioned the sweetness of the berries. He looked down at the fruits, still clutched in your hand, and then back at you. "Oh, right," he muttered, reaching out to pluck a berry from your palm. He popped it into his mouth, savoring the sweetness that burst across his tongue. "Yeah, you're right," he murmured, his gaze lingering on your face. "They are sweet. They are sweet." Draco's eyes met yours, and the look in your gaze, one of what almost seemed like admiration, almost made him speechless. He swallowed, trying to keep his cool and act casual. They're really good," he murmured, his voice slightly hoarse. "Better than I expected." As Draco stood there, lost in the moment with you, the sound of the other students' movements slowly pulled his attention from you to the present. He noticed that the rest of the group was slowly starting to gather and prepare to move on with the hike once more. His heart sank slightly, realizing that their time together was coming to an end. "Seems like we should get moving," he said reluctantly, his eyes still lingering on you. He fell into step beside you, his gaze still stealing glances at you every chance he got. He glanced over at you and took a deep breath before tentatively asking, "Hey, do you happen to have any plans tonight?" He tried to remain casual on the outside though, shrugging nonchalantly. Just wondering. I don't have any plans either. Maybe we could, hang out or something." Draco's heart soared at your agreement, his nervousness instantly melting away and replaced by a mixture of excitement and relief. He tried to keep a cool facade, attempting to sound nonchalant, but there was no mistaking the hint of eagerness in his voice. "Great," he said, a small, genuine smile tugging at the corner of his lips. I'll see you tonight then." Draco's heart was still racing, adrenaline pumping through his veins at the thought of spending time alone with you later that evening. He forced himself to keep his usual cool and aloof demeanor, falling into step with the group and trying to act as if nothing had happened. He couldn't help shooting you the occasional glance as you walked though, his mind already thinking ahead to the upcoming evening.